out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
We welcome you into another edition of Under the Bus. Hey, there's a different face. While Curry Kirkpatrick lounges on a beach in Hawaii someplace, he is calling it, what was he calling it, basketball tournament prep? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, right.
Making a road
Justin
trip.
Jarrett, our esteemed producer, a Low Country legend in both media and now coaching. He will soon, because he coaches enough teams, have as many wins as Rich Basirico did in basketball. It's just going to take Justin, 8 sports and about 10 years.
I know my limitations. I'm mostly an assistant coach. I'm a great assistant coach. I like to stay in that role.
The wins count, right? Right, Rich? The wins count no matter where you get them.
That's right. And assistant coaches are huge, man. Head coaches you got to surround yourself with good people. You have good assistant coaches, makes all the difference in the world.
I'm the get right guy. I get your mind right when you mess up.
Okay.
There you go. Under the Bus is brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks, a terrific restaurant on Hilton Head Island. Go check out their menu, hudsonsonthedocks.com. And the next time you come visit us in Paradise on Hilton Head Island, go visit them because it is a terrific place. Plenty of folks to throw under the bus. Was trying to figure out before we started who is the easiest to throw under the bus. Is it Daniel Jones, the Giants quarterback? Is it Aaron Rodgers, the Jets quarterback? Is it Giants management, Jets management, or is it Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
Goodness.
That's a hard one. I would say the Jets. When you think about what the Jets have done with Aaron Rodgers, they just fired Joe Douglas. They have not been to the playoffs since 2010. And since the last time they've been to the playoffs, they've used 15 starting quarterbacks. Count that, 15. How about that? And then now they're ready to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, right? They're ready to dump him. They got rid of the offensive coordinator this year. They took away his duties, right? The offensive coordinator. They fired their head coach. Now they fired the GM, and now they want to let Rodgers walk. And did you read today where their owner was going to? They went to the coaching staff and they wanted to bench Rodgers like after the 4th or 5th game, and they said we can't do that. What an embarrassment would that be? But the owner wanted to bench Rodgers very early on. So
who's their backup?
The backup,
Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor is their backup. Tyrod Taylor is part of a trivia question that involves Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, who has been benched in favor of Tommy Cutlets. The Giants have won 8 games in the last year and a half. All right.
Yeah.
3 of them with Daniel Jones as the quarterback.
All right.
3 of them with Tommy Cutlets as the quarterback.
Right.
And 2 with Tyrod Taylor as the quarterback.
There you go.
Wow. How about that?
So now
Jones has only won one more than Tyrod and tied with Tommy Cutlets.
Why not go with Tommy Cutlets when you think about it, right? He did win 3 games last year.
Right.
And supposedly have a better team this year. It doesn't show by the record. Better offensive line. I mean, they don't have Barkley, of course, but they have good wide receivers. But
I like the Tyrone Tracy kid, though.
But I'm excited to see what Tommy Cutlet does on Sunday.
I've liked what I've seen from the Tyrone Tracy kid running the ball, though.
He's
I
good.
mean, there's a little bit there, but they're just not.
You can't
Jones
get it done. For whatever reason, they can't get it done. And when you talk about quarterbacks coming out, I mean, this was, I think I read some analysts talking about maybe there's 2 guys coming out of the college ranks this year that might be in the top 10, Cam Ward and Sanders.
Yeah.
But teams are going to reach for those guys. They're going to reach. And I think, we need a quarterback.
Well,
there's probably, 6 teams in the NFL that needs quarterbacks, the Giants, the Jets.
At least.
Right now, 2 teams that need quarterbacks. If the draft were tomorrow, the 2 teams that would have the 1 and 2 picks would be Cleveland and Las Vegas. 2 teams that need quarterbacks.
Right.
The Giants, by the way, would be 3rd, so they could pick another quarterback.
Who? Don't
They can pick
reach.
the third best quarterback.
Who is that? Who
Your,
is
your boy, your
Well,
boy
that's the
Carson Beck.
question.
Carson Beck? I know he had a great game on Saturday, but no, please no. Trade that pick and get 2 or 3 draft choices. Do something. Don't too many teams reach for quarterbacks. Think of all the different quarterbacks that have not, have not done well. Think of guys who have done well after several years. What's Sam Darnold, right?
Yep.
Right.
Geno Smith. Who
Yep.
else? I wrote 1 or 2 names down, but some guys, it takes a couple of years. I think the NFL, they rush quarterbacks way too early.
Oh, sure they
We
do.
draft you high, you're starting right
Mhm.
away. Zach Wilson, what a farce that was.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Well, just look at Bryce
name,
Young, just a few weeks off, and he looks like a different guy. Like he's gotten his head right a little bit. And Anthony Richardson, they sat him down for a few weeks, and he looked
right.
better when he came back. Like I
Yep.
think the view from the sidelines definitely helps you, kind of adapt to the speed of the game and the intricacies of the NFL game. And you used to draft a guy like 2 years before you were gonna need him. Like not anymore. We're drafting him for right now and just throwing
Right.
him in the fire. And some guys can swim and some cannot. And I listened to a really good podcast on it about with Alex Smith on Pablo Torres podcast. He talked to Alex Smith about his experience of that first year in San Francisco. He was just absolutely lost, and there
Mm.
was no one to help him navigate because they all resented him. He was the highly paid #1 pick, came in and the anointed one, and they all resented him, and nobody was there to help him. And he was just on an island. And so, he talked a lot about that's part of why he took it so seriously to mentor Mahomes when Mahomes sat behind him
Right.
because he didn't have that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's an epidemic. Oh, Bob died on us.
Oh, where did he go?
You
How
must
did
have
you-
had some connection issues, but can you believe we're back at Tommy Cutlets though? I mean,
No, I
oof,
can't. But I'm glad they're giving him a shot. I mean, they got to do something. You got to. I think some of the players still believe in Daniel Jones, but he just wasn't getting the job done. I mean, some of his decision making, some of his throws. I mean, Tommy Cutler did win 3 games last year.
he did.
I mean, it's not terrific, but it's 3 W's. Give him a shot and see what he does. I just don't want them to reach for a quarterback this year. I mean, I know they need one, but they could trade for one.
Mhm.
There are guys out there. What Fields, right? From
Right?
Fields. I mean, he's not great, but you bring him in for a year or 2 and then draft somebody down the road and let him sit behind him for a year or 2 and see what happens. At least Fields can run and make things happen that way. But
Yeah, exactly. I think he makes your run game more effective by himself. Just the threat of him makes your run game better. And then, I mean, let's face it, he hasn't had time to develop either. He's probably getting more good out of this sitting behind Russell Wilson
yeah,
right now than anything he's
yes,
done up to this point in his career. So,
correct.
and standing next to Mike Tomlin, so
Yeah,
I think he's going to be okay. And I think they knew what they were doing. I think they played that just right. They got both those guys for next to
right.
nothing. And
Nothing. Correct.
yeah, and then they get to play Wilson for as long as he, can do it. And when he's done, they have Fields, and if not, then they've got a trade chip sitting there with one of them. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm fortunate to be a Chiefs fan. We don't have to worry about the quarterback
That's
position.
true.
We're
That
all
is
set
true.
there.
Well, when you look at quarterbacks coming out this year, and even 2 years from now, they talked about the kid from Penn State, and I don't know, I don't watching him. I'm not that overwhelmed by his
Yeah,
ability.
I'm not either.
So I don't know where a good quarterback's going to come. I think they just have to make a trade somewhere. Fields seems like the right fit for them. Um, their coaching staff has worked with quarterbacks. That's supposedly their strength is working with quarterbacks. For some
Mhm.
reason, they haven't done it with Daniel Jones. Their first year, they win 9 games to make the playoffs. And Bobby, what happened?
Hey, I got benched.
Yeah, you just disappeared. The gremlins got you.
Yeah.
They got me. What did I miss?
Not
We're just
much.
yapping
I was
around about
rambling on about
giant.
quarterbacks, and you were just stoic over there. Turns out you were frozen. But
Turned out I was
no,
frozen.
we're still rambling about quarterbacks.
Okay, all right. Have we gotten to the Cowboys yet?
No, we
No,
have
we
not.
haven't. But I have a conspiracy theory for you regarding
Yes.
the Cowboys. I think Jerry, when he announced they're sticking with Cooper Rush, because he didn't announce it, but we know he really announced it. They're sticking with Cooper Rush when they've got Trey Lance on the bench, who's one of those former high draft picks that maybe you want to see what he's got. I think he's tanking. I think he has designs on Shadur and Prime coming to Dallas.
Yeah,
You
well,
might
I
be,
mean,
you might be right.
that makes a lot of sense. Although I don't think it does make a lot of sense, but I mean, it
No,
certainly is. It's defensible.
he doesn't care if they're good or bad as long as they're relevant. That's all he
There you
cares
go.
about.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Well,
There you
the
go.
Giants, here's the thing that I just found out, that if they continue to play Daniels and he got hurt and couldn't play, they would owe him $23 million.
Yeah, Daniel
Daniel
Jones.
Jones?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the absolute reason why he's down.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
they are.
And Dallas has Prescott. We paid him, what, isn't he the highest paid quarterback or the highest paid player in the NFL? So, but
He's
I
not
think,
earning it.
Justin, I agree with you. I think a couple teams got to look at the tank. The Giants being one, Dallas being one. Just don't know. But I don't. The Giants getting number one, it scares me that they would pick the quarterback, because I just don't think either one of those quarterbacks is going to make a difference. I really don't. I don't think they're going to make a difference in the NFL. We'll see. I'll wait and see. So
Hey, you guys are coaches. Let me lob this up, and should probably say this to have Curry weigh in as well. But right now, in all of football, it's all about the quarterback.
right.
Why? I mean, and why do they let it get that way?
Right.
Isn't it about winning? And shouldn't somebody come up with a plan to win without a quarterback, and then you'd be the revolutionary guy? And then
Isn't that kind of what they're doing in Detroit, though? I mean, they took the cast off quarterback, right?
They just found a quarterback who although he threw 5 picks a couple of weeks ago, that they've tried to get a quarterback who won't screw it up,
Right.
and will get it to the playmakers and just let them make the plays. Which is,
but it's not about the
maybe that's where I
quarterback
was
there.
going.
It's
I mean,
not
there have
about the
been a lot of
quarterback
really
there.
mediocre quarterbacks in the
Trent
Super Bowl.
Dilfer.
Yeah, who've gone to the Super Bowl
Super
back
Bowl,
in the day when
right.
when the
Jeff
quarterback
Hostetler. Jeff
Hostetler.
Hostetler. That was a
Well,
good
I
one.
mean, there have been some quarterbacks who've been very successful in the National Football League that were not great passers, couldn't run, but managed the game extremely well and read the defenses and knew what to do. They got to find that guy. I don't think necessarily easy. I said it before, I just think the NFL rushes these guys into being starters when they're not ready.
Mhm.
And Justin pointed out,
absolutely.
guys sitting on just watch for a year or two.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know who
Aaron
looks pretty ready, though?
Aaron Rodgers waited,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's several other guys that waited, and it made a huge difference. I mean, think about the guys who've started right away, and how many have been successful right away
Very
in the
few.
last 5 years? Very, very few.
Stroud.
And
Matt
even the
Stafford
guys like
wanted to
Daniels
do,
with
and he had to
Washington
take
this
his
year.
bumps. Yeah.
Daniels is starting to kind of somewhat
Yep.
go down a little bit.
Come
He's
back
not
to
as
earth. Yeah. Just banged
right.
up now.
And
Yeah.
so
Well, and Stroud had a great rookie year, but this year he's not been quite as good.
No,
although he
he's
still
not.
looks quite good.
not.
You know who looks good though? Since I'm sitting in Curry's chair, I have to mention Drake May. Drake May's making
Yeah.
some big time throws.
He surprised me. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
done much better than I thought. And Knicks too at Denver. How about that? I
Yeah.
thought he had no chance of being a successful quarterback.
I thought that was a terrible pick, but I was wrong.
Yeah. So
But I was wrong.
yeah.
Hey, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk college football. The
Okay.
new ratings are out. The new bracket is out. All kinds of interesting things to talk about. Let's do that, and we'll throw some other people under the bus for sure when we come back. This one brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Welcome back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Justin Jarrett and Rich Basirico as Curry Kirkpatrick takes the week off. he may be taking a number of weeks off on the beaches of Hawaii, supposedly scouting college basketball. But
I asked him how his vacation was going, and he sent me the melting emoji, the one that's melting. So I think he's having a good time.
Last week, I mentioned that we shouldn't even have a college football playoff because Oregon was the obvious number one. Then they almost get beat. They are still number one, but probably not as obvious as it was a week ago. Texas number two, Miami number three, and Boise State has the bye right now as the 4 seed.
What doesn't make sense. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. And what Miami had an off week, right? They had a bye. They lose 2 weeks ago to Georgia Tech, has a bye this past week, and they move up in the rankings. How does that happen? You have a bye and you move up in the rankings? Makes no sense.
Somebody ahead of you loses, I guess. That's because BYU lost, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To Kansas at home, which is sad.
Yeah, that's not a good. That's a bad loss. But Bob, you pointed out. I mean, how did like Boise State and Miami, Oregon getting a bye? I totally get that. Boise State getting a bye and Miami getting a bye. That's if Miami wins the ACC, and then Texas. Who has Texas beat?
Texas hasn't played anybody.
Well, they lost to Georgia by 15. Yeah. What quality win do they have?
They don't.
They'll get theirs in a couple of weeks when they play A&M. That should be a lot of fun watching those two.
Yeah, that's going to be
a good much one. Like each other anyway, and haven't played in a number of years now. That'll be terrific.
Wait a minute.
The team I wanted to spotlight was Ohio State, who right now is in the 5 spot, which is goofy because they're not the number one Big Ten team. But if the playoffs began this week, they would have a home game with Brigham Young, and then they'd get to play Boise.
Yeah.
Nice road to the semifinals right there.
Yeah. It's a pretty good path. Well, I think the committee seems to have made it pretty clear they think Oregon and Ohio State are the best 2 teams.
Yeah.
Like that, but they can't put them both in the top 4. They can't give them both buys, but they definitely think they're the best 2 teams, I think. But Ohio State and Indiana this week, right?
Yes.
So, that's going to throw a fly in the ointment. I think if Indiana loses that game, the committee is done with them.
Are they out with one?
I think the committee's ready to be done with them. They're just waiting for them to slip up.
I don't know. I think if they stay within reach, if they stay within 2 touchdowns, I don't know. But if they get blown out, I agree with you, Justin. But if they stay within 10 to 14 points, I think they still might get a bid.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the chance to convince the committee they belong there. But right now, the committee would just as soon see them get blown out and just get rid of them because they're messing everything up right now. They're not supposed to be in there.
Another team the committee would probably love to get rid of is Army. If Army and Notre Dame this weekend at Yankee Stadium,
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that's
We're
awesome.
Going to see a lot of black and white video from back in the 40s. This one up. If Army were to beat Notre Dame, they could actually jump Brigham Young, and the Big 12 could be left out of the playoffs altogether. Because Army would be.
Is that possible that a league like that could be
the
left
Big
out
12 champions not an automatic bid?
No.
Oh wow.
Because Army could be if they finish undefeated, they would be the champions of the AAC, the American.
Right.
And if Boise's higher ranked, and then you just keep shoving the Big 12 champ down, and Colorado and Brigham Young could both be left out, which would be intriguing. Probably not going to happen, but
and Colorado has to play at Kansas this week. That's not an easy place to go. And actually, they're playing Arrowhead. They're playing Arrowhead because
really
worked on.
Yeah. Kansas isn't playing any home games. They're redoing their stadium, so they're playing their home games at Arrowhead. And maybe there'll be some Mahomes magic. He suits up, wears a blue shirt.
Well, Kansas has been playing well of late. Kansas,
much as I hate to say it.
So. Yeah, you the Mizzou guy.
I'm a Mizzou guy, and I grew up in Kansas, so the hate's deep. But I watched the end of that BYU game. I expected them to fold. I don't know, man. Well, I mean, we didn't play terrible. The arm tackling was pitiful. The offense was fine. The arm tackling was just awful. Just letting guys run through.
Talking about arm tackling. Even watching the NFL, so many guys try to wrap the guys around below their necks, right here, upper part of the chest. What is that all about? It never works. Whoever taught
Last
you how
double,
to throw a
man.
line like that? Throw
Double
those
leg
guys in the bus.
takedown.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are trying to tackle above the waist. You gotta hit that man low. Wrap up
Under
those
the
legs.
bus.
Take him down. Under the bus.
Under the bus. Arm tacklers.
Mizzou arm
Get 'em
tacklers
out.
under the bus.
Get
But
'em
yeah, that
out.
was my Super Bowl. That was rough. Living here in South Carolina, Mizzou against the Gamecocks is kind of the biggest game of my year. So
Did you go to the game?
no,
Oh.
I got a way better seat at home.
There you go. You don't have to fight the
And-
traffic.
Don't have to fight any
Amen.
Gamecock fans.
Do we want to take the break before we talk NBA or after? You want to do
Well, should we
NBA now?
talk? We didn't talk Tyson, the big fight, Tyson
right.
and Jake Paul, the fight
Well,
that saved boxing, right?
Although I think I gave you somebody to throw under the bus, and that would be anything involved with streaming.
Oh God, Netflix can go under the
Netflix
bus.
goes under the bus.
I saw 6.6 million people at one point were watching Antonio Brown's live stream of the video board at Jerry World because their Netflix was all jammed up. You couldn't watch it on there. And now Netflix
and
has
they've got
the NFL game on Christmas Day
Christmas
and
Day.
the Beyonce concert at halftime, and there's just no way they're going to pull this off. No way. But that fight was atrocious. Just
What
atrocious.
Tyson throw 18 punches? The
He
entire
threw
fight?
7 in the third round, and that's when I
Ooh.
thought, okay, they must have told him not to win this fight because
Well, it's all
at the
about
end
the
of the
money.
second round, he landed a couple of pretty square shots, and then he came out and just didn't fight in the third round, and it was weird.
Hey, I
I
read
don't
today
know.
an argument that we all revere Tyson in his career, or many people do. Did Tyson ever beat anybody?
Yeah, I mean,
Right? Well,
I mean,
bit his ear. Bit
he
his
happened
ear.
to hit a time when there weren't any other fighters.
Mhm.
I mean, he didn't beat anybody.
he did lose to Buster Douglas, which was pretty bad.
Buster Douglas wasn't anybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was
He
pretty
was
bad.
nobody. Yeah,
He fought what, like Lennox Lewis and
Lennox
Riddick
Lewis and
Bowe.
Holyfield. but-
Holyfield. I mean, he was considered a pretty great.
Yeah, but
but
Holy,
champion
he-
at one
he bit
point.
the guy's ear. He bit
He sure
Holyfield's
did.
ear.
yeah.
Oh, he
but-
wanted to bite Jake Paul. He kept biting his gloves.
I mean, you rank the top 10, 15 boxers of all time. Tyson is in there probably,
Yeah.
even though he
Yeah.
never beat anybody who was in there.
He
Right.
certainly didn't. He was like kind of the last golden era of boxing in a way. So like he didn't have the overlap with any of the great. It wasn't like when Ali and Frazier and Foreman were all there
Right.
at the same time, or when at the lighter weights like Sugar Ray and Hagler and there was depth to the weight
Foreman.
classes at that time.
Foreman, there's the guy. There's the next guy to fight Jake Paul.
How about
Foreman.
Butterbean? Think Butterbean's still
Butterbean.
around?
Oh my goodness! You saw, of course, all the memes after the fight. Now I guess
Joe Biden.
Jake Paul wants Jimmy Carter. He wants to go
Yeah.
at it with.
Yeah, I saw Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden fight posters.
Oh, Lord. I couldn't even tell you who's the heavyweight champion right now. I have no idea.
No clue.
Back in
No
the day, you
clue.
followed it all the time. Now
It's all MMA now.
That's
Yep.
awful. That's
I know
garbage.
John Jones. I
That's
know John
garbage.
Jones is the heavyweight champion of UFC, and I know he hit a crazy kick to that guy's ribs the other night that would have put a lesser man on the ground. It was- oof.
Indeed,
All right.
indeed. All right. We got that. Now we've hit a good spot. We'll take a break. We'll come
Okay.
back. We're going to talk NBA and Major League Baseball. The ballots are out for the Hall of Fame. Ooh, pick your Hall
All
of Famers. We'll talk about that
All right.
when we come back and throw some other people under the bus.
Perfect.
Welcome back under the bus. Bob Stevens along with Rich Basirico, our producer, Justin Jarrett, going on the other side of the camera this week, taking the place, coming off the bench for Curry Kirkpatrick and
baby.
actually adding some points. I think he's added some offense to this thing. That
There you go. Don't tell
Curry
Curry
was
that.
like one of those Cavaliers jump shooters against the Celtics, 2 for 19.
I
or
don't-
whatever.
I don't know if I have the zing on my fastball that Curry has, but
Well,
I'm
there
crafty.
you go.
Crafty.
The Cavs did lose finally to the Celtics on Tuesday night. They're now 15-1. Their season is over.
They're cooks.
He's
Cook.
so-
Yeah, they're cooked. They're done.
They're
The
done.
coach is now in trouble. They're when I was watching, they were down 15. So the fact that they only lost by 3 indicates they're probably not all that bad. And they'll be okay.
They're going to hang around, Bob. They'll be playing down the stretch for obviously they'll be in the playoffs and so. I mean, I know it's a long season, but they played extremely well. I don't, for them, the Celtics obviously is defending world champs, and they didn't shoot the ball well, and they come back and lose by 3. That's on their floor, right? On the Boston.
You're the basketball. What'd you think of that floor, by the way? Did you watch any of it?
I did not.
Is this the in-season tournament?
Parquet in Boston for this one.
Is this the in-season tournament?
No,
did they do the?
They did a
crazy
fancy
floors?
green. It was all green, and it was gross.
I don't care for it. I don't care for the garish courts. I don't get it.
I do have a story to speaking of the parquet, though. The old parquet in the old garden, I got to do, or when I worked in Cleveland, they opened the season one year against Boston. Pretty good Cleveland teams, and got to talk to Lenny Wilkins, the Cavs coach at the time, talking about him playing in Boston. And he says, "Oh, you had to come out before the game, and you had to bounce the ball all over the place because you had to see where the bolts had been left out, and there were dead spots on the floor.
Find the dead spots,
where you could bounce it, and it wouldn't come back to you." And he says, as a player, you needed to know where those spots were, and they were there. And he played back in the 60s. They were still there in the 90s. Those dead spots, they knew, the Celtics knew what they were doing.
That's what you call a home court advantage.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And of course, the showers were never had hot water in them for the visiting
there you
team.
go.
So they knew all about that kind of stuff. Hey, Rich, how about your 76ers? Well, actually, they're your Knicks, but their arch rivals, the 76ers, off to a 2-11 start.
Awful.
Trust the process.
Well, their best players aren't even playing. Think about that. Embiid how many games did Embiid play? And George, who they got with free agency, George. What have they done?
Is that this load management thing?
I guess. Embiid, Embiid hasn't played in 6 games. He plays a game, then he needs a game for rest. How many times do these guys have to rest? I don't get it. They're resting all the time.
You're the coach. Should pro basketball players now almost be like NFL players, where you get a game check? You get paid by how many games you play?
That'd be perfect. That's the way it should be. I mean, it's amazing how many times you have to take off. The best thing I heard about today was LeBron came out and said he's no longer going to do social media. He's off. He's tired of it. He's tired of what people say. I was so happy when I saw that headline. I started clapping, Bob, just like
I'll
you are.
I'll believe
right
it when
now.
I see it.
I thought that was terrific.
How long will you want to do the over-under, Justin? Give us an over-under on how long that lasts.
2.5 days. I mean, there's no way. I mean, it's addicted to it. There's no way. There's no way.
He hasn't got it yet that no one really cares about his opinion of things, Come on, LeBron. We don't care who you think should be president of the United States or who should be doing this or that. But he's going off.
No, but they love to respond to it. Whatever he says, it doesn't matter. They love to troll.
Absolutely.
Embiid's played 3 games out of 13. Maxey and George have played 7. So
there you go. That's
load management is one thing, but missing the playoffs might be another, huh?
Right.
That could, and who else is playing poorly too is Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They're not playing very well either. They're struggling too.
No, they're not. They're outside the playoffs right now as well. Behind that terrible Bulls team that somehow won 6 games. I don't know how that's possible.
And then look at Detroit and Brooklyn Nets, how much better they're playing this year.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not playing, the teams below them stink. Maybe that's the problem. That's the reason behind that. I don't
All right,
know.
we throw the Sixers under the bus now. We threw Detroit under the bus last year, but they have crawled back out
Yeah,
from
they've turned
under.
it around.
That's good. Yeah,
I
we'll give them
want.
a
Can I
seat.
throw college basketball under the bus?
Absolutely.
For some of these teams that I know it's early on and they play some non-conference games where teams aren't very good, but Connecticut yesterday played. Now these are two-time defending national champion. Yesterday they played East Texas A&M. Have you ever heard of them? East Texas A&M.
No,
Now this
no.
is their first 4 games. They played them, Sacred Heart, New Hampshire, and Lemoyne. Those are their first 4
Oof.
games. And last night they had 19 turnovers against
Ooh.
Texas A&M. They've had 30 turnovers in their first 3 games.
No, East Texas A&M. If they'd
Yes.
have played Texas A&M, it would be legit. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
East Texas
Oh,
A&M.
ETAM.
So they had
ETAM.
19 turnovers
ETAM,
against
yeah.
East Texas A&M.
No.
30 in the first game. They had 14 against Sacred Heart. Now, Hurley, as you know, is not a happy camper about that. But some of the teams these schools are playing, I mean, again, I understand they want to get off the ground and have some easy non-conference games. But let's see, Georgia played Alabama A&M. They won 93-45. Let's see who else. Maryland played Canisius. They won 108-37.
Oh.
And Kentucky played Lipscomb. They won 97-68. I mean, I went to St. Leo, a little Division II school in Florida. We
Yeah.
played Georgetown, DePaul, and Providence. And
Oh, you played
Providence,
everybody.
Providence, Kevin Stakem hit his first 9 shots, and they took him out. We lost by over 40. It was crazy.
Did they laminate? Did they laminate the checks though? At
That's
St.
what
Leo?
it was all about, Bob. That's what it was
No,
all
they
about.
cashed it.
Our basketball coach was the AD. It was all about money. All about money.
Yeah.
Think
Well,
about
that
this, the
probably
Citadel's
paid your
playing at
whole
Clemson this week in
budget.
football, and their paycheck is close to $500,000.
Yeah. That's the whole athletics budget for the Citadel all year.
Without a doubt.
Thank you.
Without a doubt.
Thank you, Tagus. Mizzou would never do such a thing. They played Mississippi Valley State on Thursday.
There you go.
Won 111-39.
Jerry Rice's.
How does
Jerry
that
Rice.
help your team? Seriously, how does that help your team?
I don't know. Maybe you get to play some guys and look at them that
Make
don't
'em
usually
happy.
get in the game. Keep some people happy. Pad the
Coach,
pad the,
you
those
coached,
losses a
you
little.
scheduled, you were an AD. Wouldn't you want to play up in the non-conference games? Kind of see where you were.
Yes. You might want to play out of the gate, maybe one game that you're going to probably more than likely get the W. But you want to play hard teams to prepare yourself down the road when you get into region play. And some of these schools will play. I mean, Connecticut's schedule obviously is going to improve here shortly, especially when they go to these tournaments.
Can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Some of those teams, come on now, please. That's ridiculous. But one of the ones I liked the best was St. John's played New Mexico this past Sunday. That's Rick
There you
Pitino
go.
against his son, Richard
Yeah.
Pitino. And there was a stat that came up. Any father-son who've competed against each other, the father is overall is 19-2 in wins, 19-2 against their son. And Rick won on Sunday. I think it was 85-71. And they were playing at the Garden, Madison Square Garden. At the end of the game, the fans were yelling, "Who's your daddy?" They were yelling out, "Who's your daddy?" And Rick stood up and kind of waved to the crowd, just telling them to stop doing that. But they kept on doing, "Who's your daddy?"
Who's your daddy? Love it.
Fun at the Garden. Let's switch to baseball. The Baseball Hall of Fame ballot is out. Couple of interesting first timers. CC Sabathia, Hall of Famer.
I think a Yankee Hall of Famer, but I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't think so.
How about this? If he states his case, here's his case.
Okay.
Since 1920, there have been 2 left-handers who have won 250 games and struck out 3,000 batters. Actually, there have been 3.
Okay.
The 3 are Steve Carlton,
Yeah.
Big Unit, and CC Sabathia.
Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And so Warren
Yeah.
Jeffers is in that group,
3,000
right?
strikeouts.
Warren Spahn is not in that group,
He didn't strike out
I think
3,000.
but obviously he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well,
So
but I'm saying of the guys who have won
Right.
250
Right.
and struck out 3,000, there are only 3.
well, maybe
and
it's a good
CC's
case.
one of them.
Maybe it's a pretty good case.
All right, so he won a Cy Young, top 5 times, 6 All-Star teams,
I'm
What's
saying
his
not
overall
yet.
record?
62.3 career WAR. Yeah, I think I'm a big Hall guy, but I think I'm a yes on Sabathia.
Yeah.
All right. How
He's
about
one of
this? This is the
15
one
pitchers in MLB history with 250 wins and 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Only 15.
15 total. Yeah, only 3
Oh,
left.
Yeah, that's pretty
Um,
impressive. I think yes.
How about this one? This is one I think is even maybe a better debate. King Felix Hernandez,
Oh man,
Seattle. Man,
that is a tough one.
to me, it's not so much the numbers that get you into the Hall; it's the wow factor.
Right.
When I
Yeah.
thought when my team was playing against King Felix, I'm worried from the from the start. CC Sabathia, yeah, okay, we can beat him,
Right.
but King Felix gave me some wow factor. I think I almost prefer him to
Over CC.
Sabathia to getting in.
Well,
Those are the
Jeff,
two new
do you have
two of
his
the new
numbers?
guys.
Do you have
I
Felix's
trust the
numbers?
WAR. I trust the WAR, and Sabathia had 14 more WAR. But Hernandez has, I mean, he has very good numbers. 290 ERA, over 1,800 innings. You know,
He was just
very
a
durable.
stud every time
Top
he.
10 in
he
the
was
Cy Young 10 or 6 times. He won 1 Cy Young. And
That's
then
good.
threw a perfect game, of course.
Oh wow.
He 6 All-Stars. You know, that's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
all right. Think
Not-
about
Well,
that one.
him being in Seattle,
Not a
if he
sure
was in-
one.
If he was in New York or LA, all the
Bingo.
difference in the world.
Game would be
right?
over. Yep.
I do have
Um,
him right here behind me, though. I have the Felix bobblehead right there
There you
from
go.
Oh,
a night that I
See?
then
saw
you
him
have to
pitch at
put him in then.
Safeco.
You got to put him in
He
then.
pitched a gym at Safeco
Yeah.
that night. So
That gets
Yeah.
him in. That gets him in. You've got his bobblehead.
Yeah, there you go.
Ichiro is also on the ballot for the first time. He's a lock. Is he unanimous?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Should
should.
he be unanimous?
he probably won't be because there are always some stubborn.
There's some knucklehead that
Clowns.
won't put him in, just like when they didn't
Yeah.
put Jeter. That one guy they didn't vote
Yeah.
for him.
There'll be some
Guy
clown
on
who
the
does
ballot
it,
for
but
the
he should
last
be.
time, Billy Wagner, who
Billy
has
Wagner.
gotten closer. He was only 5 votes short last time. Does he get in?
To me, he's not a wow factor for me. What wow
we
factor?
need to
Yeah.
be we need to be reminded how good Billy Wagner was.
For how
he-
long? How long was
Yeah,
he?
and well, for a long time. I mean, he was really good. He of left-handed pitchers who have pitched, whatever, a minimum number of innings. He has the lowest earned run average, the lowest WHIP, the lowest opponent's batting average of any left-handed pitcher ever.
Wow. Now
Career.
you're stating your case. Now all of a sudden, maybe I change
That's
my
pretty
mind on
good.
that one.
His
He has
the knock on Billy
422
Wagner.
saves. That's a lot.
Yeah, the knock on
422
Billy
saves
Wagner
is a lot.
his postseason ERA is over 10. So when he pitched in the postseason, the few times he got to, a couple of times he got hit. And again, I think with relievers, ERA is bogus
right.
because
You have one bad inning. Yeah.
I remember Jim
Yeah.
Bouton's book. Remember reading that, when he was a relief pitcher, he'd have 10 good
Yeah.
outings and then he'd just get hammered because he threw the knuckleball.
Right.
And boom, his ERA would go from 2 to 5, just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you give up a grand slam and that ERA goes crazy, especially postseason, so few innings.
That's
It
right.
doesn't take but one big home run and your ERA balloons.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I think in my head of Billy Wagner, and I don't think the wow factor, but then you hit me with that,
Well,
that number, and I go,
They had the
That's impressive.
second lowest ERA of the live ball era behind Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Wow.
good.
That's pretty
so of
darn-
left-handers, he's number 1.
So think
Yeah.
about, how many times has he been on the ballot? Why is it taking this long?
Well, 9 times. He's actually moved up the ladder. A lot of times
Yeah.
it has to do with who else is on the ballot.
Right.
Because they can only vote for 10 guys or whatever.
Right.
So he
Yeah.
got left off a lot of ballots when there were other guys on it. He's kind of risen up just through attrition. That's why they give you 10 years. But this
And
is his
some of
last
those
time on the
guys,
ballot.
some of those guys act like it's that you owe them a certain number of years on the ballot before they can vote for
Yeah.
you. I don't
Yeah.
get it, but some
No,
of them
that's
take
true.
it very, very seriously. Well, no, he's got to wait his time. Like,
You are or you aren't a Hall of Famer. That's
right.
what
That's right. That's right. That's
You're not
what I
getting
think.
better. You've already been
Well, what-
retired.
Billy Wagner
they
hasn't
don't-
struck anybody out in 15 years.
Right. They don't vote you
I need to
in,
see
and then
more.
10 years later, you're a better player to get into it. That's what
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, right? We're not good
I
enough
need
to
to
get
see
on your
more
first
from him.
ballot, but 10 years later, you're good enough to get on that ballot. That doesn't, doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
We're taping this on Wednesday night. Wednesday night, the Cy Young winners were announced. Obvious, Tarek Skubal in the American League and the left-hander from the Braves, Chris Sale,
Yes.
Chris
in the
Sale.
National League. The rookies of the year were Paul Skeens and Luis Heel of the Yankees. Skeens, I think, was obvious. The managers of the year, the
Good
Cleveland
boy.
guy wins, Stephen
Yeah.
Vogt.
How about that?
I'm not so sure he should have. I think he did a great job. The guy in Kansas City, I mean, they lost 106 games
Yeah.
last year. This
That's
year,
true.
their GM should be the GM of the year, I guess, because they got some players for him, and they made the playoffs after that. Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee, the National League GM of the year. Anybody got a last under the bus?
Well,
Justin.
this is for Rich kind of, but the Yankees don't allow facial hair, which I take that personally as a bearded American. But I found it interesting that although they don't allow facial hair, they do allow Luis Heel to have the "God bless me" tattoo across his throat. I got a
Hey,
kick
Rich.
out of that, because facial hair, that wouldn't be classy.
Yeah, tattoos they don't care about. Tattoos they don't care about, but hair they do.
Rich, would the Yankees change the rule if Juan Soto wanted to grow some facial hair and sign for 10 years?
You never know. That might be some part of his contract to get him to come. You never know. I think it's really good that they have that rule. I really do. You look at some of these baseball players now, like the Philadelphia Phillies, some of these guys.
Ugh.
It's ridiculous how their hair is so long. I mean, for the young people of America looking at those guys, they're idols of, if they're fans of baseball, look at these guys and what they look like. And how do you play in the middle of the summer in July and August with that hair hanging out of your hat and down your shoulders?
I
It's
don't know,
ridiculous.
but I'd be fine with the long hair if they just made them wash it in Philadelphia. What is going on there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, Oscar Gamble had the big
Oh,
throw.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it was
there.
clean. Yeah, it looked
yeah.
good.
But you know
Brandon
the story
Marsh-
about that? They had to go tell him to
Marsh
cut it.
looks-
Do you remember that? They had to come
Yeah.
tell Oscar Gamble he had to cut his hair, and they were worried that he was going to say, I'm not going to do it. But he said, okay, sure, no problem. And he did it.
Hey, it's a team
Oh,
rule. Most
yeah.
of those guys, Catfish Hunter did it. Other
Yep.
guys
Yeah.
obviously did it when they came to the Yankees. So
I got one other to go under the bus.
Yes.
The defensive coordinator for St. Andrews University, NAIA team in North Carolina, because they went up against former Bluffton Bobcat quarterback Lee Kirkland from right here in the Low Country this weekend,
Cool.
and they let Lee break the NAIA records with 646 passing yards and
Wow.
11 touchdowns. He was
11
41 of
touchdowns.
47. Yeah, 11 passing touchdowns. That ties the overall college football record set by David Klingler from Houston back in the 90s.
That's
But it's
crazy.
an NAIA record, 646 yards, and they're on to the playoffs now. At U Pike up in Kentucky, Pikeville.
How good was he
Pikeville
when
Bears.
he was at Bluffton High, Justin?
He was good. He played tight end for a good part of his career behind Jermaine Patterson, and then moved to quarterback and had a couple really good years. His dad was on the coaching staff at Bluffton. Prior to that, he was the head coach at Ridgeland Hardyville, and
Okay.
had a lot of success there. The last time before this year that they had a solid season, he was the
Right.
coach. So he came by and honest, but I really thought he had some offers to go play tight end at some bigger places, I think, but he really wanted to play quarterback. And he went to Pikeville, and with the COVID year and all that stuff, I think he's in his 6th year there. He owns
That's
all
normal.
their school
That's
records.
normal.
They're going to build a
Amen.
statue of him. And he looks.
G-Man.
Hey, he looks like
G-Man.
Ben Roethlisberger out there. He's just a
Late
big
round
old kid.
pick. Sneak him in there, Rich.
Why
Yeah,
not?
man.
Hey, Giants should
Put
take
in
a
the word.
chance on him. You can't go
Call-
wrong. Some is a free agent.
Call
He's-
call John Mara and get this one going.
Come on, Justin. You could do that on your media hype. Dude,
He's a
send that
big old
stuff out
boy.
to
He's a big old
Giants.
boy. They got him at 6'6", 265.
Oh,
He's a big
wow.
Roethlisberger type.
There
That's
you
like
go.
remember the Kentucky quarterback?
Yeah. He's
what
not
was
as big as the hefty lefty, but
Hefty
he's
lefty.
that guy, Jared Lorenzen.
That's
That was
right.
something.
Yeah, there you go. Remembering the name. Good job. Rich, anybody else to throw under the bus? Have we
No,
done?
I'm going to take a back seat right now and not throw anybody else under the bus. I'm good.
Let's throw Curry under the bus.
Yeah, for not being here.
Yeah,
Just
for,
hang
for
out,
just
hang out on
for,
the beach, drinking,
for picking a Hawaiian beach over
Yeah.
us.
being with us.
For being in Hawaii when we're not.
Or that. Hey, thanks so much, Justin, for all of this that you do every week. Rich, thanks to you. We'll see you all next week
Sounds
for
good.
another edition of Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks.
See you guys.
Under the Bus is a production of the Loco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett, with assistance from Trey Ramsey, Mahogany Hickman, and Adam Carroll.